Eddie Murphy wanted to work with reggae's most divine voice, but the deal vanished into thin air. Why did a legendary Jamaican producer bury the golden opportunity that could have changed Luciano's life forever? Was it pride, paranoia, or something darker? Stay until the end, because what you're about to uncover isn't just a missed call, it's a musical betrayal of biblical scale. Luciano, born Jephthah McClymont, the baritone prophet who once commanded the hearts of millions with chants of righteousness and hymns to Jah. But behind the velvet curtain of his meteoric rise lay a truth far darker than the world suspected. For while the world heard the uplifting cries of "Lord, give me strength," a different tune was playing the backrooms of Exterminator Records, orchestrated by the enigmatic producer and self-declared gatekeeper Philip Fatties Burrell. The tale begins in the humid fire of 1995 Jamaica, a time when slackness was giving way to spiritual rebellion. The genre of reggae, long hijacked by decadence, was desperate for a savior. And that savior came in the form of Luciano, a devout Rasta whose voice was steeped in the soul of Dennis Brown, and whose mission was to restore consciousness through melody. With songs like "It's Me Again, Jah" and "Sweep Over My Soul," Luciano ignited a movement. Yet, at the peak of this cultural revolution, just as the sound began to ripple across oceans and awaken curiosity from lands beyond Zion, unseen hands began clipping his wings. Among the many who heard the echoes of his music was a titan of American entertainment, Eddie Murphy. Not just a comedian or actor, Eddie Murphy was a connoisseur of Jamaican rhythm, a man who had already delved into reggae with the energetic Shabba Ranks on "I Was a King." Eddie, struck by the spiritual cadence of Luciano's voice, was eager to bridge Hollywood glamour with Kingston's gospel. In an unfiltered gesture of admiration, he penned a song with Luciano in mind, determined to merge their worlds. Through an uncanny twist of fate, Murphy found the perfect conduit in Junior Forbes, the younger brother of reggae industry giant Copeland Forbes. The pieces were aligned. The stars had bowed. Eddie Murphy was on the phone with Copeland himself, expressing his desire to collaborate, asking only for a mailing address to send the demo cassette. What followed should have been the start of a transcontinental collaboration destined for musical history. But the cassette, dispatched via international courier, vanished into silence. Copeland Forbes, sensing the momentum dwindling, called repeatedly. He implored Fatties to check if the package had arrived. He waited. Weeks passed, and when the truth finally surfaced, it came as a punch to the gut. The package had been delivered all along. But rather than embracing the opportunity, Fatties had tossed the FedEx envelope beneath his desk like unwanted mail. Unopened, undisturbed, discarded. When Copeland confronted him, the response was not one of oversight or regret. It was a calm, inexplicable arrogance. Fatties, sipping from his Rastafarian pride, simply said he didn't want Eddie Murphy and his entourage to think they were cheap. Cheap, as if Luciano's spiritual anthems were currency for negotiation. As if collaboration with one of the most powerful entertainers on earth was beneath the sanctity of his label. Eddie Murphy, unsurprisingly, moved on. The project was scrapped. A global stage burned before the fire was even lit. But this wasn't an isolated incident. It was merely the first in a string of near-mythical losses. When opportunity knocked again, it came to the phone lines in the voice of none other than Jimmy Jam, one half of the iconic Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis duo. The men behind Janet Jackson's Platinum Reign, the architects of R&B's Golden Age. They were working on the soundtrack for How Stella Got Her Groove Back, a mainstream romantic comedy set in Jamaica. They wanted Luciano. Not one song, not two, but 5. They were building a sonic altar to the island and wanted the voice of the messenger himself to deliver the sermon. Fate brought the call directly to Fatties' house. He was asleep, but Copeland Forbes, by some divine orchestration, was present and answered the call. The excitement was electric. He shook Fatties awake, thrilled by the magnitude of the moment. But the man who held Luciano's fate in his hands once again responded with eerie indifference. He dragged himself to the kitchen, made tea, moved like time owed him favors. And after long silence, he finally took the phone, only to hand it over to his wife, telling Jimmy Jam to talk to her. The door slammed shut once more, and with it, Luciano's songs were replaced by the voices of Shaggy, Beanie Man, and Maxi Priest. Another soundtrack, another altar, no messenger. Malik Yoba, the acclaimed actor known for New York Undercover, also reached out. He was working on a film and envisioned Luciano's soaring plea, "Lord, give me strength," as the emotional centerpiece. Not only that, he wanted Luciano to act, a performance role and a musical feature, a golden convergence. But once more, the negotiations were fumbled, mishandled, lost. And once again, the walls of Exterminator Records held their silence. What makes these betrayals all the more gut-wrenching is the reasoning behind them. There are whispers that Fatty's Burrell, though a devout Rastaman, was maltreated by the dual demons of righteousness and control. As the self-appointed shepherd of the conscious reggae revival, he believed exposure to American glamour might contaminate the purity of his artists. Perhaps he feared Luciano would be seduced by the glitz and abandon the teachings of Marcus Garvey and Haile Selassie. Or maybe it was something more sinister. Maybe Fatty's, deep down, couldn't bear to lose his golden goose to a world where he no longer held dominion. Luciano, for his part, was shockingly unaware of these missed opportunities. In later interviews, he confessed that he had no idea Eddie Murphy had ever reached out. No inkling that Jimmy Jam had wanted him on a major Hollywood project. No clue that his music was nearly immortalized in film. His trust in Fatty's had been absolute, his loyalty unquestioning. And to this day, he refers to Fatty's not as a villain, but as a mentor, a man who shaped his path and kept him grounded. In the face of the storm, Luciano chose gratitude. But history will remember both the light and the shadow. Philip Burrell was not just a gatekeeper. He was a builder. He built the careers of Sizzla, Turbulence, and Coco T. He resurrected a genre from the ashes of vulgarity. But in the process, he became a bottleneck through which only select streams of success could flow. He raised a family of prophets and then locked the doors to the temple. Luciano's parting from Exterminator Records in the late 90s was not fueled by hate, but by necessity. The constant internal clashes, especially with Sizzla, strained the ecosystem. Eventually, the messenger had to find new ground to continue his mission. He remained cordial with Fatty's until his passing, never speaking ill, never seeking retribution. In a world of egos, Luciano walked a higher path. He simply called it the will of Jah. Still, one cannot help but imagine the alternate timeline. The one where Eddie Murphy and Luciano release a soul-stirring collaboration that breaks cultural boundaries. The one where Luciano's hymns echo in theaters across America. The one where "Lord, give me strength" becomes a prayer of generation. Instead, we are left with silence where music should have been, and shadows where light was ready to shine. This is not merely the story of mischances. It is a cautionary tale etched in the margins of reggae history, where faith, ego, and fate collided. It is the unsung tragedy of Jephthah McClymont, whose voice was divine, but whose path was obstructed not by enemies, but by the very hands that once raised him. Was Fatus protecting Luciano's purity, or holding him hostage beneath the weight of his own control? Was this mentorship or manipulation? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Let us know whether this was divine redirection or sabotage masked as loyalty. And if you want more hidden truths buried behind the beat, don't forget to subscribe for the next revelation.